Welcome everyone to another video, and in this video we are going to be covering day 2 of Cindy's run. Covered day 1 already, should be posted, maybe a link in the description somewhere, but we're going to be covering day 2. I believe there are she has the Group B winners final, the winners final on the top 4 cut, and then I believe she has the grand finals. I think so. I think there's like four sets in total, I believe. The first one's gonna be best of 3. The remaining of those will be best of 5. So I have set it because right now the video is an hour long. I have set it to 1.2 speed, so the casters will sound a little bit weird, but bear with me. She's going against Alex in the first round, who's actually never done a show 6 pick 3 format, mostly a GBL player, actually playing out of like close to Vancouver, but via Mexico. Very strong competitor. Actually knocked Dialap into the losers, so that's saying a lot. Their team consists of Lickitung, Metacham, Walrein, Sableye, Shadow Needle Queen, and Skarmory. So here, Mandibuzz K9 core is really strong. It basically covers the two main weaknesses that Mandibuzz has, which is going to be Skarmory and, more importantly, Walrein. Also, like Metacham looks okay here. Obviously, the 3 counters in the back do make it a little bit challenging. Walrein also looks okay here. Mostly it's the Metacham, but Metacham is pretty decent against Cindy's team, especially since she doesn't have Psychic on her Metacham, so it would be a disadvantage. But I don't believe she's actually shown whether or not she's had Psychic yet, so let's go ahead and get started. And so again, the voices are going to sound a little bit sped up because they are 1.2 speed. So she does say switch. So the opponent doesn't have an answer to K9, so it makes sense for her to say swap it.
We've seen Cindy value her Ninetales quite a bit, but at this point, I think that she's going to try and go for the back-to-back moves here.
And she does get the deny, which is really big there because it actually does allow her to get there. She might have got there anyways, but I don't think she would have survived 2 Poison Fangs.
This is big. Do we want to potentially double shield?
This doesn't KO, but it's probably really close. Oh, it does. It has KO.
Look at the power of that Shadow Ninetales, able to not only win switch advantage, but also shield advantage as well.
This is really good for her. So this is a non-shadow Walrein. So she actually doesn't need shield this because it can survive. Oh, actually, what am I doing here? I'm actually covering her thing. Okay, all right. Sorry about that. I had to change a little bit for a thumbnail, but I really shouldn't have covered. That was my bad. There. So
no shields. What an incredible call! Last second shield there. We did see, I think, a last second shield come out.
Yeah, she did get the last second shield. The animation was very weird there, but she didn't need shield that either because it would live the EQ, but obviously just wanted to maintain it. And she's in a really good spot right now. Not really too much the opponent can do at this point in time.
Access to the aerial ace as well as the air slash. Going to be hitting super effective with all the moves here. No protect shield at this point.
Yeah, we see what looks like a CMP tie with the Ice Punch and the aerial ace, both hitting super effective against the trainer's opposing Pokemon.
Okay, this aerial ace, while it is super effective,
this is game over.
And also not the best damage per energy type of move. We're going to see
and she just honestly, you just commit to the farm down because you don't really care whether or not the Metacham takes out your Mandibuzz because it's going to be at 1 HP if it does reach another Ice Punch. So you just look to farm it all the way down.
Quite a solution at this point. One more Zap Cannon should be enough to knock out that Walrein.
Yeah, we see
and then it does get the deny there as well, but really didn't make a difference because there's no way they can get to 2 moves.
Quick swap back into the Registeel. This is going to be a race to the finish. We do still have 1 Protect Shield on the side of Cindy. Wants to correctly call the Earthquake. We're going to be seeing the Icicle Spear coming through.
Yeah, it doesn't really matter. Didn't have enough energy. Alex really needs to farm down the Mandibuzz, but it wasn't just going to have time. And the Focus Blast does like 83%. to Walrein. So Walrein from full health does survive. Walrein actually, with the lock-ons plus the focus blast or zap cannons, they do the same damage, would actually still survive and get off the EQ in the zeros.
Yeah, I think Cindy played that really well, making sure that she had enough health to get to multiple weather balls in order to knock out
She's
that
writing down her notes,
as well as making sure
which is I think really good, especially in a more grueling matchup where you're trying to understand like what your opponent likes, what some common weaknesses are, what potentially they might bring.
Maybe going to be the Walrein. Metacham's not a bad answer as well. The bulk of Licky Tongue can do okay, but there's nothing that's going to be outright resisting the moves from that Shadow Ninetales. So I think it's a great safe swap, and that's exactly what we saw in game number 1 from Cindy.
We do
Yeah,
have
Cindy
some
making really good use of the K9, especially with no like water type moves, right? Crushing her, so puts it in a really good spot. So
I think they're getting ready to move into game number 2. Let's see if there's a little bit of a change of strategy. Perhaps Alex going back to the drawing board, bringing in some new Pokemon that might have some more flexible play versus that very effective Shadow Kanto Ninetales.
She did lose the lead in the first one.
Was a star of that match, and we have a mirror match here: the Shadow Walrein versus the standard Walrein.
You're saying I am the Walrus? No, I am the Walrus, guys. We've got Walrein versus Walrein here.
They do get an extra powder snow in. This EQ does quite a bit of damage.
Yes, it is the Earthquake correctly shielded by Alex.
Yeah, it's really tough.
So she got a powder snow back, so now they're even on energy.
Because having it be no shielded is incredibly impactful. We see both trainers throwing those Earthquakes, both being shielded.
No base here, Phoebe. This one's going to be impactful, though. Now that one shield is down, a little bit less willing to invest that second shield. But as we know, the lead matchup can often determine what happens in the back half of the matchup. So we see another shield, 3 Earthquakes, all 3 shielded at this point, and I think we have potentially...
He does get the CMP tie.
Event here. Okay.
Yeah, that knowledge will actually be very crucial
Or
going into this
CMP
last matchup. We see
event,
no
or whatever they call it.
and
it would feint to an Icicle Spear, so she should farm up just before and then throw. She tried to catch there, but Alex switches there, which is kind of an odd move because I do expect the Walrein. They had 2 moves. Could have just thrown both Icicle Spears, and it wouldn't have KO'd the Mandibuzz, but would have put it really low. But Alex also knows that there's a Mandibuzz in the back, and not Mandibuzz, Ninetales in the back, because there's no way you don't bring Ninetales in.
It does a good amount of super effective damage, but I believe this next aerial ace will knock out this Metacham.
Yeah, this Mandibuzz able to get to the move. At this point, I don't know if you want to invest the Protect Shield. You still have a very healthy Licky Tongue, but no, we do see the
it does have a shield there, which I thought was kind of a odd play.
Yes, this Ice Punch won't be quite enough to knock out, and we do see that an Air Slash just went through. I believe that Air Slash will be just enough to knock out that Metacham.
All right, that'll be bringing the Mandibuzz down into the red. Very close to fainting at this point. Might be able to get to a move if you bring in the Licky Tongue. Let's see what the strategy from Alex is.
We see an immediate swap out into that.
Just try to snipe there. I'm actually kind of surprised that they just didn't. Alex didn't just switch here in EQ. But I was afraid of some desync, probably.
Are we going to see a quick swap from Alex? No, these embers are adding up, trying to build to this overheat, and gets to it. Oh my, this is a shadow.
And this overheat is going to do an absolute truckload of damage. And now she's in a really good spot. If Alex would have, oh my Jesus, I did so much. If would have just switched in EQ, then I think actually would be in a pretty good spot. But going to be able to farm down this Licky Tongue, and this is absolute game over here. Need to farm down, but really had no chance there. So, and Cindy's Walrein does lose CMP to Alex, as we saw in the first game there. So she does 2-0 and actually ends up winning Group B, and now she's going to move on to the top 4. Facing the winner of the second group, which is going to be a 6-10 hero, which we'll see in a little bit there.
Taking a 2-0 victory, looking very clean with that gameplay, was able to get that Earthquake through earlier in the matchup, which translated to some success later on.
Yes, and Alex Madara is not out of it yet. He will be moving down to the losers bracket to face off against the winner of our next matchup.
Yeah, Cindy moving on to top
fast type, or excuse me, fast grass.
Okay, now she's playing on the right side against 6-10 hero. Very strong trainer from Burlington, Ontario, which is just outside of Toronto, like about an hour away from like downtown Toronto, but via Japan. So a really strong trainer. Participates in GBLA quite a bit, so this is a pretty tough matchup. And K9 is not as free because he does have a Shadow Politoed, which is obviously.
It looks like we have our Sableye versus Shadow Kanto Ninetales.
She looks like she lagged right at the beginning, but
bit of insurance starting off with the Kanto Ninetales. Very good situation for her because.
But it
610
doesn't matter
here,
because
again,
he
doesn't
throws
have the amount that
first.
He really wants that Polito to get on the
He has to
board.
throw first
No,
anyways
absolutely right. We
because
see Sableye deploys foul play, and the first protection will come
because
off the board
otherwise
here
she'll get
for
the
Cindy. Now,
100
this is a
first.
little bit different
Okay,
with
they
the
actually get a
matchup in
sneak
State
in.
because this series is a best of 5. So as we gather information about the playstyles, it will become more and more important as the series progresses. One protect shield there deployed on each side. CMP event, it looks like the Sableye might get to go first here.
And this is
She's
definitely
gonna
hurt a
double
lot. We
shield.
talked about Shadow Pokemon. You deal more damage, but overall the Shadow Pokemon are going to be taking a lot here. And very early on, it looks like we're going to have a situation where Cindy is going to have no protect shields to deploy. And I think 610 is kind of content by taking that right here. He doesn't know about the backline just yet, but having the Sableye over here, the Trevenant in the backline for Cindy right here, probably can breathe a little, breathe a sigh of relief.
So here, I think she should have went to Mandibuzz, but I think she's like okay. Yeah, the seed bombs do add up quite a bit.
And here
Obviously, the Lickitung can throw to prevent the third one.
Lickitung can really do here. This Lickitung is going to come out with a lot of energy, and kind of as a preview here, you still have the Kanto Ninetales. You have the.
But if she would have safe switched to Mandibuzz, I think would have been in a slightly better position. Obviously, there's potential Registeel or K9 in the back, A9 in the back.
To the third seed bomb here, and we know these Shadow Claws are resisted by the normal typing, so really relying on the charge move pressure.
So I think maybe she was hoping to bait out the K9.
Oh my goodness, it's going to cap itself on energy, and it does.
Good timing by 610 and making the right choice here. Body slam wouldn't KO. But did take quite a bit of damage, as you can see there.
Anticipating the Mandibuzz to kind of come in and start soaking up some energy. Mandibuzz, very high stat product here. Probably not so worried about some body slams from Lickitung.
This is interesting. Coming in with the Shadow Kanto Ninetales, making that instant switch
I'm
out into
curious
Mandibuzz,
why not throw there.
Politoed is capable of learning that coverage attack Blizzard.
But you can see Mandibuzz is an absolute tank as well. Double resisting the mud shots means that like these weather balls did absolutely nothing. 610 here is going to always throw basically at perfect timing. So Cindy, she needs to throw at 1 or 3. But yeah, she shows it. Okay, she's trying to sneak there, but which is the correct play. But there's just no way the Politoed is going to let it happen. So can actually survive one more. So I say this where 610 Hero always going to throw the correct time, but actually on this one actually threw at the incorrect time. So did 2 then through. Really need to do well, the thing is, like, you go for the CMP tie because actually transferred the air slash and lost all the energy. Yeah, and yeah, that ended up being really costly. That actually ended up costing him the game because the foul play doesn't KO, and Cindy makes the absolutely brilliant move by switching there, K9 into a Politoed, but it was the correct play there, and really well done by Cindy. Obviously, the safe switch into the Mandibuzz probably would have been a little bit better than the Trevenant because it would have put 610 Hero in a really tricky spot there. But also made it stay with the Politoed, so then it would have been Trevenant into Lickitung with like a 3rd health K9, which probably would have been enough, but also made it trickier there. So
win one more battle. However, because she is at this stage, at near the peak of the mountain, as I might say, she needs to win 2 more games. So
again, best of 5.
Being able to lose one more match and still be in this series.
Yeah, and I think based on the previous match, 610, I think he can still be pretty calm about this because he did gather some additional energy.
That Dragon Raid shirt, so awesome. I really gotta get one.
Cindy is bringing the Trevenant, so she is worried about the Politoed. She's making
has like Dragon Rage and then the Dragonite on it. It looks the sweet shirt. And they give those shirts for people that have like logos or whatnot, like non-authorized logos on their shirt.
It looks like we have a dominant lead on one side and a very bad lead for another trainer. Alola Ninetales meets Mandibuzz on the field. A counter swap here into Shadow Kanto Ninetales met by the Politoed.
And what a great call from 610 here, kind of sensing the Mandibuzz's importance.
Really good timing by 610 again. But look at the confidence Cindy had in her K9. This is like crazy confidence. Oh my goodness. Look at that confidence there. And Overheat almost KOs.
Oh, he is going to opt to let it go. And unfortunately, even
which puts the Politoed in really nice farm down range.
And it looks like 610, he's able to lock up switch advantage for himself right there, but does leave a sliver of health here to potentially be farmed down.
And as we look at these back lines, the switch advantage would have been so critical here, so profound for both trainers. We see the Polito deploying this charge attack here. Cindy, knowing it's a weather ball there, takes a moment to collect herself. Let's see if we get to another weather ball. No, Mandibus silences it, but it needs to switch out. It needs to escape. Charm.
And
Deals
then
so much
switches
damage
here.
to Registeel, and the counter
And
swap needs to save a life.
Registeel actually wins this matchup against Sableye in the 2 shield very comfortably. The Zapcan doesn't KO even with the lock-ons, but you can eventually lock on down afterwards, so it does like a tremendous amount of damage. It does like probably around 70-ish% to Sableye.
Does add up on Registeel, even if Registeel we see it as a tank sometimes.
Exactly right. You have to have that future sight, if I may, to see that these charge attacks will do less and less damage after these Zap Cannons.
And she's going to double shield, which is definitely the correct play. Obviously, you have to be careful of them switching out. Like, clocks are a little bit... he did charge move pause there, which allowed Cindy not to take a Shadow Claw, but it does make a big difference there.
For 610, he does have to be very careful here because I think Cindy is probably going to try to catch a move at some point in this matchup because her goal, I think, is to land a Zap Cannon if possible, and then
these foul plays are double resisted. Or not double debuffed here.
Oh my goodness, look at Registeel.
And you can see how much these Zap Cannons actually just barely survives.
I think that Purified Sableye might just have enough stat product to outlive this, but oh my
She tried to snipe there, but she really should have just locked on down.
She's going to go ahead and throw an aerial ace.
I think the Registeel is actually healthy enough that it might survive some charge attacks from this Alolan Ninetales.
Oh, it looks like a third shield there. And then she's just wondering what happened here.
Alolan Ninetales defeats the Mandibuzz. Okay, it looks like we're catching up here. Once the Alolan Ninetales defeats the Mandibuzz, it is
looks like maybe, I don't know, it's complicated there.
Forcing it to expend some energy. Okay.
I'm not sure there on that play what exactly happened, but it was going to have to throw regardless. And the Focus Blast KO, so the extra air slashes don't really matter there because it would have made it to move, so...
And unfortunately, Lock-On only does 1 damage.
Oh my goodness. Trying to hold on, gets to the Focus Blast. That's so critical because you don't want to take another charm. This is going to come down to fast attacks. Registeel needs to hang on through 1 2 Shadow Claws. Here comes a Focus Blast.
Let's see
here.
here.
Comes the Sableye. Can Reggie hang on? Oh,
Registeel actually survives the 1 Shadow Claw, ended up surviving. But eventually there was some extra air slashes there, but it really didn't matter because the Mandibuzz would have got to the move before the charm down, and then would have to throw anyways, and then the Focus Blast KOs regardless if without the air slash damage or not. So she definitely should have just stayed and locked on down, and then Zap Cannon and then switch, and would have been in a pretty okay situation there, or the Zap Cannon luckily would have KO'd anyway. So she's up 2-0 versus 610 Hero, who's again a tremendous player.
It looks like through some energy management and eventually, even with picks like Alolan Ninetales, you're not gonna be able to damage the Registeel enough.
Again, it's unfortunate that kind of like lag post charge move occurred there, but it didn't make a difference in that game.
We saw a lot of dominating 2-0 wins for 610 as they made their way through the bracket yesterday, but now being down 0-2, getting a great lead, getting a great swap. It's still not
610 Heroes one lead and 1 swap and still lost the game there.
Tricky to see how these trainers adjust. And again, this is a best of 5. Cindy is 1 win.
610 Heroes maybe need to consider bringing Medicham. And honestly, if Cindy would have revealed that her Medicham didn't have Psychic, maybe would have brought it in versus her. So.
Absolutely. It looks like our trainers are getting locked in. You want to take those extra few moments, maybe play out a few scenarios in your mind. You want to get comfortable. You want to relax. You want to take a deep breath and be ready for action. Looks like we are almost ready to go. This is going to be very interesting. Game 3 could be decisive. Great.
Oh, she lost the lead again.
But
here, decide not actually to bring in the Ninetales because it only had 1 target last time, and so this is actually a really good situation for her. So you want to do 3 then throw, which is good timing, but unfortunately she actually didn't get the desync CMP. She didn't get the desync CMP, which allowed the extra mud shot to come through. Doesn't make a huge difference because Mandibuzz has a really good matchup against this entire team. You can see here this Politoed is really nice catch by 610.
Catch a foul play on the Medicham. This is a very interesting play here because I think it really constrains 610's options. You have the weather ball.
She really wants to switch here.
You've lost alignment now.
And I'll tell you what, you can see her reaching forward on the right side of the screen. Cindy choosing to come in with the Trevenant. Trevenant's main job was to defeat the Politoed, but guess what? It's going to settle for a meta champion.
She's actually going to no-shield this. The extra Shadow Claw there, though, means that won't be able to make it to a move. Actually, no, I think she has to throw here. She throws at 5. Didn't want to take the pup, but I think could have farmed down there. Definitely could have farmed down there, but this is okay too. And then
has a really good chance to come in here from 610's side. You know, you probably do need to invest.
She does go for the Shadow Ball, which is definitely the correct play because you don't make 2 seed bombs. And this is the correct play by 610 because again, if they bait, they're not gonna make another move anyways. And
unfortunately, you know, it's still in the yellow.
Gonna K9 here. Really wants this fast move pressure.
I love the awareness here as well, recognizing that Shadow Politoed is still a threat on that backline for 610 Hero. Wants to send out this Shadow Kanto Ninetales, keep it away from the pure water type, and deal some neutral damage here to the Sableye. Looks like forcing a CMP event as well.
Okay, but this is okay. This is okay.
And a key thing right here is that because 610 Hero let his Medicham faint, he has an opportunity right here to potentially...
Could have thrown beforehand, but it honestly doesn't make a difference.
Does Cindy sense that it's going to be coming out though from the Politoed?
Does she anticipate it?
And he lets it go.
Oh my goodness, she anticipates it, makes the switch, but
they need 2 to KO. So this doesn't KO. And this is really fortunate for 610 because yeah, gonna be able to farm down.
Both of the charge attacks. Now the question becomes: we've seen Shadow Kanto Ninetales defeat Politoed before. Can it do it again?
And then she just
oh my goodness, the Kanto Ninetales in 2 games in this match.
She lost all 3 leads. Okay, think about this.
My gosh,
she lost all 3 leads. She lost all 3 leads in this game and ended up like just winning those matches in extremely impressive fashion. So as you can see, she's very excited, as she should be. She's booked her ticket to World here. So very good lead. Gonna go into. She should have went Trev here, in my opinion. Trev, the thing is, she goes Trev here. She actually doesn't need switch, right? Because she has 2 answers to it, and she could just say switch out into.
Ember for this matchup in particular.
Yeah, I can see that this is already adding up quite a bit. From a fast move perspective, you have to give the advantage to the Ninetales.
Oh, we see a no shield on that weather ball. It will be able to farm down. Will we see a second shield from Cindy?
Okay, it looks like that. I don't know if this is enough to knock out as the rock slide, but we see the shield come through anyway, opting to preserve this Ninetales. We talked about how much play it has. Getting that energy might go a long way.
Yeah, we'll have to see what Cindy decides to do from here on out. Actually, bringing in the Sableye is Dialap. The Sableye would have a lot of play against Cindy's Trevenant.
Okay,
actually, no shields here, which is actually really good for her. And Dial-Up throws right away. So here again, I think. And I think you just throw the seed bomb at the Sableye.
Still have 2 shields at this point, but 2 shields aren't going to do much for you when you have Ninetales versus Red.
I'm not sure she tried to catch there, but I think if she just stayed and throw the seed bomb, you actually don't need the. But she's gonna attempt to lock on down.
To look for a farm down here, knowing that Dialap has 2 shields left. The Trevenant does have a good amount of energy, maybe a bit of a miscalculation from Cindy about how fast she was pacing to her charge moves.
Trying desperately to get to the last move,
and Dialab makes the correct play here. Doesn't want to get locked on down.
Shielding up the Zap Cannon will drop the attack stage 1 stage.
Yeah, will Cindy be able to make it to
but maybe could have did one more Shadow Claw and then actually prevented this Zap Cannon here, which actually is a really big deal.
That's what I'm thinking. Being down 2 shields, very tough for Cindy to come back.
Zap Cannon almost for sure does more because it's like 150 base damage, no stab, and then the Shadow Ball. Shadow Ball doesn't KO here. So she actually gets a huge deny here. This deny was well, actually maybe it wouldn't have mattered because she ended up taking a charm anyways. So she wouldn't have taken the second charm, but actually maybe she actually did. And the deny there was actually really huge and actually tying this game. But she needed to stay there, and then Registeel would be able to take out the Sableye and the Trevenant.
result that they wanted?
You know what? I gotta say, for Dialap, I think it was the result that he wanted. He led that Alolan Ninetales into that Registeel. You gotta feel like you got a little bit of a mulligan there, knowing how terrible of a lead that was.
Yeah, Dialap obviously playing that really nicely on his side. But I do think the matchup, like switching Trev into the G-Fist, because the thing is, like, Dialap's team has no answers to Ninetales, so she could have came Trev into the G-Fist, and if he tries to fight for switch, like, who really cares, right? You take a shield, you just come with K9 afterwards, and then K9, like, the Ninetales has nowhere to go after that, right? So
that's incredible.
Yeah, really saving 2 shields for his Charmer, even though it was going to be matched up against one of its hardest counters in that Registeel. Registeel really struggling with its fast move, damage, lock on, really.
And these two actually take quite a while to lock in, which is probably explains why this video is so long. It's also like many matches here, so.
I'm curious to think if Dialap potentially benches that.
So let's see.
Knowing that it's still that there's a lot of different threats
speed
from
this up
Cindy's
here.
team. Like I said, I think it has fast in charge team number series. We're going to be having the Trevenant from Cindy lined
so she picks up a huge lead here, but again, she doesn't have a great answer to it.
Into the Sableye. You can see these Embers adding up very fast, Alpha Feed.
Yeah, Ember is doing a ton of damage each.
She doesn't have a great answer. Registeel would be a better answer, and she could actually choose. Yeah, she could also choose not to, because see here she's CMP tied. She really needed to not CMP tie.
Really wanting to protect it in both of these matchups that we're seeing.
Yeah, Cindy's Registeel looking not amazing given that Dialap has both Medicham and Galarian Stunfisk. However, Registeel does thrive in situations which shields are down. However,
and this overheat does a ton of damage to. She did one more and then CMP tied on the.
But this is the overheat. This is going to be a huge no shield. The overheat lands on the Medicham. 1 HP.
What an immense amount of damage, and it looks like the Ninetales will be able to knock out the Medicham.
Oh, she tried to simul.
Swap out at the last second.
All right, this is typically a more positive.
This is where baiting is definitely the correct play.
Galarian Stunfisk still has 2 shields. Going to be able to shield up everything here and just start throwing Rock Slide after Rock Slide after Rock Slide. Probably going to need 3 to feint this Trevenant.
Yeah, Seed Bomb and Shadow Ball both being neutral here. Seed Bomb being a little bit of a worse move than Shadow Ball, but Seed Bomb coming a little bit quicker. I'd be surprised if Cindy went for a Shadow Ball.
We've been waiting for that overheat to land all tournament, and we finally see it land there on the Medicham. That was a ton of damage. We saw
this is CMP tie.
The resisted Shadow Politoed. But here comes the next Rock Slide from Dialap onto the Trevenant. This is going to be close to knocking out Phoebe.
It does not quite knock out. The Shadow Ball comes through. The switch clock is not quite up for Cindy. I assume she wants to get out of here as fast as possible.
Okay, positive. You're able to take both shields.
And then Dialap just makes an incredible play.
Negatives here. You're going to get farmed down by this Galarian Stunfisk. Come out with
It could have made double Seed Bomb, but really didn't matter there though, because Seed Bomb wouldn't KO, and you need to land a move.
Super effective Earthquake from the Galarian Stunfisk instead on her Cantonian Ninetales.
However, she doesn't switch out quite yet. Knowing that the first Earthquake will not knock out her Registeel, she has to be careful as well because that Medicham is in the back, potentially catching a Focus Blast.
All right, well, this Galarian
and then Dialap actually makes a monstrous catch here.
The Focus Blast will be landing here on the Medicham. What a play from Dialap.
Yeah, we see a bit of an undercharge, not mattering.
She could have thrown in the middle of the mud shot, like waited for the mud shot to come through. And she actually could catch this move and then would be able to outpace there to the Focus Blast, but I think she, at this point in time, she actually just gave up.
She knows exactly when she's getting to that move, but nonetheless, she waits and he anticipates the wait and still gets the catch.
Yeah, really nice catch by Dialap. So Dialap playing, obviously a tremendous battler, playing really well. Cindy winning both leads in the first game and second game, which again, people who say like, oh, winning leads is everything, it just shows like here, Cindy 3-0, 6-10 hero, losing all 3 leads, and Dialap losing both leads really hard, probably the hardest lead combinations, and end up still winning the match.
Yeah, one great thing we've been seeing from Dialap has lost both leads in both of these games. Really,
yeah, as they're saying here,
but been able to turn around those matchups with really solid play. Here. He's going to need to continue on.
They take a while to.
A lot of patience on details, out using both to make a safe shield.
I know what she's saying in the map.
I think Dialap and Tony been mattered.
We're in the Registeel once again, but this time met by the Medicham on the side of Dialap. An immediate swap out once again into the Ninetales, met again by the Sableye.
Yeah, Ninetales being
the problem here is she's double weak to G-Fist.
Doing amazingly against those Embers. We see the foul play coming out. I think Cindy's probably going to build up to 2 Weather Ball fires and then decide which charge move she wants to throw.
We know what this Mandibuzz is looking quite nice versus several of these Pokemon, that being the Sableye as well as the Medicham. It's going to need to watch out for that Galarian Stunfisk though, so I like this team that Dialap.
The extra Shadow Claw there was actually pretty bad because that means they're going to CMP tie and she loses CMP CMP.
This time Eddie, or sorry, Dialab rather. I can call him Eddie. He's a top battler. We're friends, of course. Yeah, he's able to get to this next foul play, and this will once again take the second protect shield. This is 3 straight.
And this is
games
very
out
bad for her.
with Cindy double shielding the Cantonian Ninetales.
She has two. Eddie has two. Dial-Up has 2 answers to Reggie, so maybe could have.
And we see that Weather Ball Fire is able to be reached by this
Well,
Ninetales.
this is good. This is some good value now out of this Ninetales. Despite going down 2 shields, you did get 1, and now you're also going to get some significant chip damage versus this Metachamp. Metachamp being a big threat to your Registeel. You got to feel good, at least getting it now
And
down
this is
into
very
range
bad
where
here,
you can
and
get it close to knock
Dial-Up
out. But this
realizes
is an
that he's in a
interesting
very
play.
good spot.
We see an immediate swap out coming from Dial-Up here. The Galarian Stunfisk into the Mandibuzz.
I think she had to switch out right away. Switch out right away. At least get to the Focus Blast, or maybe Zap Cannon the G-Fist, and then be in an okay spot. But they're gonna be able to make it to the Earthquake just like one turn beforehand is like the worst sequence of events for her at this point in time. So like could have switched out right away, tank the move, then maybe go for the Zap Cannon. And yeah, this is it's definitely game over for her. She does get the deny, but it really doesn't matter. It's just too much for her to overcome at this point in time.
A little bit slower from an energy perspective, able to make it to this next foul play. At this point, I have to give the advantage to Dialab.
Yeah, I think Dialab's feeling very comfortable. I would expect to see him use
Dial-Up bringing the G-Fist in the face of Trevenant, Metacham, and Ninetales. She does get an extra move through.
It's going to take another one. How many Pokemon can take 2 separate super effective moves and still have plenty of HP left? There's not a lot.
Yeah, Mandibuzz being one of the bulkiest Pokemon in the Open Great League. We see a no shield coming in from the Stunfisk.
And she basically just has to try to farm this down, but it's not going to be possible. So she realizes that. I guess she goes for the CMP here, but it really doesn't matter. G-Fist does win CMP.
Cindy going to be going down in game number 3. Dialab going up 2-0 in the series.
Obviously, in this situation, it's like pretty tough mentally. But one thing I credit for Cindy is like her mental fortitude. If that's the correct word. Of you're facing like one. Some would argue the best player right now in Dialab. And you're down 0-2. Obviously, you're in the winner's side, so Dial-Up has to reset. But you won 2 leads, tied, and then lost, and then just got 1 switch in that second game, but or third game, but still ended up losing. Wasn't able to catch. She had the right idea. Just
she might be thinking about benching that Cantonian Ninetales. It's pretty tough though because it has such good.
You definitely don't bench the Ninetales, but she needs to try to mix it up or try something against Dial-Up because it's a really tough situation here. That's Leo in the back. Really great guy. Yeah, in the judging.
I know I can't win Switch, but finding a way to take a victory. Let's move into game number 4.
It's Mandibuzz versus Metacham, a really good lead for Cindy here.
Without a doubt. Does not have the super effective Ice Punch. This Metacham only has access to the.
And she's in a really good spot.
So this is just going to be a battle of trying to punch it out from the perspective
Dial-Up going to 7, then throwing. But she already knows Dial-Up's moveset, so she's not going to shield anyways. Even if it was Ice Punch, she wouldn't shield anyways. And she goes for the CMP tie, which again, I like this play on both sides. Because now she CMP tie, doesn't have to concede any turns.
Serious disadvantages versus the Pokemon on Cindy's side. That's going to be the Alolan Ninetales have bad matchups versus the Cantonian Ninetales as well as the Registeel. So regardless of how this matchup goes, it's going to be a tough spot for Dialab to end up getting value out of that Alolan Ninetales.
Yeah,
just gonna farm down. Gets the deny there, which means that we'll get one more counter.
That safe, and it can avoid the Sableye, which is, or excuse me, it can avoid the Metacham, which is going to.
So here she should just instant swap into K9.
Also prevent the farm down here. We see.
Yeah, she just instant swap into K9.
She recognized it right as she threw it.
Because K9's always safe as a switch.
It is actually the better move from a damage per energy perspective, but not versus the fairy types. Okay, we immediately see that now the Cantonian Ninetales is
because Dial-Up did a charm, she actually ends up getting 2 turns ahead, so she concedes this 1 turn because Dial-Up did get 1 through on the switch.
We've seen this time and time again, especially in the safe swap scenario, the Sableye versus the Ninetales. At this point, I think that Cindy
and did get an extra Ember there.
And this is exactly what we were saying. Use it later on in the matchup, not necessarily as the safe swap. We're going to see some great value come out here, be able to get that Registeel lined up versus that Alolan Ninetales.
Yeah, I think using shields on your Ninetales makes a lot of sense here because it's doing the most fast move damage. If you saved your shields for the Registeel, you wouldn't be able to farm down the second Pokemon.
Good timing by Dial-Up. Could did 1 more, but it really doesn't matter. She's just gonna go in right away and sack the Mandibuzz.
this
Yeah,
next foul play
just
relatively
sack it.
soon, but we still have the mana buzz. These air slashes are adding up.
And
It's
let this
right there.
go.
We see a shield, we see
And
a
this
no-shield.
is
This
game
foul play
over.
is resisted,
Can
but
basically
enough
just
to
lock
knock
on
out
down
the
this
mana buzz.
Sableye.
All on the back of
Can
the Registeel.
Yeah, I think the Registeel has enough health left in the tank to be
Yeah,
able to
Dial-Up
take both of
realized
these
that this
Pokemon.
is
Sableye
this is
still
over.
not quite in the lock-on down range. I think it could get to another foul play.
Dial-Up trying to make a read that
We've seen the first zap cannon, and no protect shields remaining at this point for Dialab. You can see the frustration. This is a tough matchup. Alolan Ninetales goes down. Still has the Sableye with barely any.
Sableye actually does make it to a move here, but oh, actually Bug wouldn't be able to throw it there because I did end up fainting. So
in game number 4, taking the series to 1-2.
And not quite enough health to get to that last
little
foul play.
stream error
First
there.
foul play,
The
not
layout.
enough to knock
I don't
out
even know
the
how that
Registeel.
happens, but
What do you like about Cindy's gameplay in game number 4 there?
As you had mentioned before, and during that battle,
the only thing there
Cindy
is that she just needs to switch out
was
right
very
away
key,
into
making sure
K9.
that you could get some energy advantage on it, making
Realizing
sure
it's going to
that
be
it
safe,
could be a
but
safe
maybe
swap
she was also
later
worried
into
that
the battle. Of
it was
course,
going to be
that was very
GFIS,
crucial for her, having a positive
GFIS, so
matchup
she
as
kind of
well
had to
as
stay.
a
So
Pokemon that is
it's
good
always
against
a
your
tough
opponent's
scenario
back
here.
line.
Yeah, what I think was exactly what you're saying. I think what was most critical there was that Mandibuzz specifically had positive play versus 2 Pokemon, forcing Dialab to stay in, didn't bring out the Ninetales until later, which proved to be a much more favorable position for it. And yeah, being able to
Yeah,
win that
but if it was GFIS there, like
really good for Cindy. We'll see
she would have just farmed down the Ninetales
Yeah, Cindy
and
going
then
down
came with a
to
bunch of
2
energy.
games together,
So
able to
it
win
was
game
going to
number
be
3.
a
We are
favorable
now
for
1-2
situation for
in the
her,
grand finals.
basically
Cindy
no
needs to
matter
win
what.
another 2 games in a row in order to secure victory in this first part of the grand finals. Of course, Dialab, if he wins another game, he's going to be able to flip the bracket and push it into the second part of the grand finals.
Yeah, we've seen Cindy now in every game bring that Kanto Ninetales. We talked about how powerful it can be, trying to melt Dialab's team, and so far has had some struggles.
Yes, a little bit of struggles in those first pull going to the stage. They're still selecting just
Game 3, so we're away, talking to Cindy Branch away time and time again. I don't think we're going to see any swaps here.
Yeah, I don't think so either. However, this is the first time we've seen these 2 Pokemon in the lead matchup. We see that
She
the
did get a
foul play
sneak
is being
there,
thrown
which is
immediately.
really
I
nice.
think we're going to see Cindy build up close to 2 Weather Ball fires.
An immediate shield coming through. Let's take a look. I think this may have been a CMP event. No, it was not. We see the swap out into the Galarian Stunfisk, going for the next charge move. This is going to do a lot of damage. This is still a super effective
Dialab
battle.
making
No,
the
no,
correct
let's see
play
what
because
Dialab
he
wants to do.
realizes
He shields
that
it up.
if
A
the
big
Trevor's in the
shield coming
back,
from
then
Dialab.
it's going to be really
Yeah,
problematic.
I think we're going to get a rock slide
She
here.
just
This
got
rock
it.
slide will be enough to knock out. We again see a second shield by Cindy on the Cantonian Ninetales. Bit of an interesting swap, however, by Dialab because it was a neutral lead matchup.
Okay, opting to go again for a Weather Ball. This is going to do a lot of super effective damage. Let's take a look what Dialab wants to do. Do you let this one go? Might hang on. Let's take a look. Oh, barely hangs on. Will you be able to get to the rock slide? It's going to be super close. Oh, and this is big. Phoebe able to go ahead and swap out to the Trevenant and catch a only neutral move.
Yeah, this Trevenant's
So here she does farm
really
down
great energy
the
advantage against both of Dialab's
GFS
Pokemon
here,
in the
but
back.
I think this
However,
is
that
prime
Registeel is
time
likely
to
gonna
bait,
get matched up against that
right?
Medicham.
So
Have some regrets here.
honestly, the Seed Bomb probably would have KO'd. Not right now, but with the Shadow Claws. Because now once she...
Yeah, this is going to be tough. When we look at this, Medicham's going to be
Yeah, like the Seed Bomb definitely would have KO'd there.
However,
So she
shield
could have
already
baited there.
fully down. This Ninetales still has a good amount of health. The Registeel in the zeros does beat Medicham. However, that isn't always the case with Power Up Punch.
But these double foul plays here are going to be... Or basically force the Sableye to throw. So it wouldn't have so much energy.
Yeah, the foul play doing a nice little bit of
And
chip
then
damage,
this is
allowing
a
Medicham
really,
to
really
have a
bad
bit
for
of a
her.
safer play in
And
the back.
this
It
is
does
game
not quite
over.
get to
At this
that
point in
cannon
time.
for the second
Maybe could have
power
switched
punch.
out a
Power
little bit
punch is
sooner.
a weaker move, is going to not deal a ton of
But
damage.
again, the GFIS is going to be really tough for her to deal with.
Yeah, however, I believe that was the second power-up punch, so the Medicham is still going to have a +1 to its attack. We see the swap out, and the Weather Ball Fire will actually come out at the same time as the power-up punch.
Okay, able to get to this Weather Ball. This should be enough to knock out this this Medicham feed.
Yeah, I think this
So,
Ninetales, the switch out there was very crucial.
She actually
We're
needed
going see a
to...
bunch of damage
Any
on the
chance...
Sableye.
I don't
No,
know if
Sableye's
there's any
forced
chance to win there.
immediately.
It's going to be able to outpace anyways. But needed to bait. In order to have a chance there. And then gonna be able to outpace there. She was dry, so not really too much she could do in that situation. But really nice play by Dialab there. Needed to bait out the Trev and did that successfully.
Another best of 5 to play. Of course, the bracket has bracket.
I think there's like a long...
And one
I think I cut
as
out
it is
the...
at where you all are dating.
And now we go into the second best of 5. So Dialab is like on the winners. Okay.
lined
Okay.
up versus that Shadow Ninetales. I think Cindy might have to try and figure out some different components. But guys, we're moving right in here. This is it. Let's get some hype. This is the Grand Championship. We have the Galarian Stunfisk into the Kanto Ninetales. Cindy on the right, Dilap on the left. Here we go.
Yeah, it looks like that the Rock Slide comes out one fast move before the Weather Ball Fire. We'll see a potential shield or no shield from Cindy here. It is the shield. The Rock Slide would have been a good amount of damage, not quite knocked out that Ninetales.
Yeah, no surprises here. We're seeing the Galarian Stunfisk as well as the purified Sableye there, which is what we've been seeing time and time again. A bit of an odd core, but one that operates very nicely versus this Kanto Ninetales. So we see one shield come out in a swap.
She
now.
could have
Bringing in the Trevenant is Cindy
weather
into
ball
the
down
Galarian
there,
Stunfisk.
or
Gets those
farm down.
1 HP, some nice ship damage.
Yeah, this Rock Slide won't do a ton of damage to.
But Dilap makes actually the incorrect read here. Well, it's hard to say because Cindy's brought like Registeel so often. It was expecting the Registeel here because 2 shield Ninetales would have been really too tough for her to deal with. And then she makes a really nice play here because Dilap is really afraid of getting farmed down. Would not have survived 2 Embers. So she actually goes into wall rain here to absorb the move, which is actually really nice. And definitely would have made it to a side shock. And the energy here is just way too much.
Yes, the Wall Rain, of course, is great with energy advantage. We see an Icicle Spear coming out. It is the Shadow variant, so it deals 20% more damage. The Sableye will not like being able to take more than 1 Icicle Spear.
Okay, I like this play. We see the first shield come out from Dilap. We're not going to see the second Icicle Spear get thrown from Cindy. This is still going to do some nice damage. This is the Shadow Wall Rain, don't forget. Second shield coming out from Dilap.
Yeah, Cindy's in a great position here. She has 2 Pokemon left, one with a bit of HP. We see no catch there. We see the foul play coming out right before the Weather Ball Fire from Cindy.
Okay, but Cindy still has a Protect Shield. Keep in mind, she's going to try and get to this move, this Weather Ball. But don't forget, Dilap does still have the 1 HP Galarian Stunfisk. Could there be a potential catch here? No, able to get to the Weather Ball.
Decided to throw right away, and this is game over. Once this move lands, either the Weather Ball or the Icicle Spear lands, it's game over. It's game over. Just way too much health.
Barely reaches it with 1 more Ember's worth of HP.
All right, well, this is big feed, but unfortunately, I think that we still see the Shadow Wall Rain on the side of Cindy. I really like her adjustment that she made here. Able to get a little bit of a different move. Comes out actually with a Weather Ball. We'll launch this off versus the 1 HP Galarian Stunfisk. And Cindy, despite having a tough early start,
obviously Dilap was expecting the G-Fist in the back.
Yeah, I think Cindy will
Not the G-Fist, the Reggie in the back. So that's why she chose to, or the Mandibuzz. So she hadn't brought the Shadow Wall Rain at all in the first set in 5 games. So she makes a really nice adjustment and takes advantage of Dilap's reading of the situation. Could have stayed and Embered down, and then probably would have came Sableye and would have got a shield, and would have been a close matchup. So ended up working out in her favor that she did end up switching and then baiting up the Ninetales.
Between these 2 sets, thinking about what changes she can make to her team in order to better improve versus Dilap.
I may have to get clarity. Alex was
Oh,
Just gonna speed this up here.
18 tails, just like Phoebe said. It is the
18
Ninetales versus
tails.
Ninetales. Very favorable matchup for
And then going to the Wall Rain here. The Wall Rain here is such a good counter neutral play versus the Sableye.
As it is able to outpace to these charge moves.
We're going to see the first shield come up from Cindy.
Again, she's in a really favorable position.
But we are getting to double Icicle Spear. Ice, baby.
Yeah, I really like this play by Cindy, farming up to 2 Icicle Spears. No shield coming in from Dilap.
She has a throw here. Maybe could did 1 more Powder Snow because I think Dilap's 2 away.
All right, firing off this second Icicle Spear. What do we want to see from Dilap? Gonna let this one go. Cindy able to retain switch, but at what cost? Just a Protect Shield.
This Ninetales coming back in is going to be doing a lot of damage.
And then Shadow Wall Rain just.
Has enough health in the bank to be able to pay an
So Cindy was talking about Dilap should have came here with Medicham, but it would have took a lot of damage. So she tries to switch here, realizing that Ninetales is always safe.
Yeah, the Metacham's now going to have a pretty bad matchup, or it's going to avoid a really bad matchup against that Trevenant. We see this is pretty neutral. The power up punches.
Again, she threw the overheat earlier, so.
We saw before that Trevenant is able to tank 1 Weather Ball from that Alolan Ninetales, but that will have to be something that Cindy keeps in mind. Where do you want to use that Protect Shield in this matchup? Do you use it versus the Metacham? Do you save it for later? She still has a little bit of HP.
Oh, decided no shield despite a potential overheat.
If that was the overheat, it definitely would have knocked out the Metacham. And then, since it is a no shield, we see that Cindy is using a little bit more energy.
And this is a CMP tie. A little bit surprised that Dilap would throw at this point in time, because honestly, if it would have just countered down, and then she just goes in right away. realizing that this is game
I
over.
think this Trevenant's in a pretty safe spot, given that it has a shield, able to farm down that Metacham all the way. One Weather Ball is
And,
going to be shielded by Cindy, but actually first the Shadow Ball comes through.
Shadow Ball's gonna be
Dial-Up
through
probably
from
should just
over
throw in the
range.
pop,
Gonna do a lot of
hoping to
damage.
grab a
Quite bit
shield.
of
Really,
damage,
that's
but
like the
limited
only
HP.
play.
We're gonna see the charm come through, but no,
And
Cindy going up
ends up
2-0 on
taking
the
it
back
out.
of this
So
Trevenant. Very
Cindy
nice
going
play.
up
One game
2-0.
away from winning the Grand Championship.
Yeah,
And
Dial-Up
one
recognizing that it
game
didn't
away
matter if he
from
threw that Weather Ball
winning the
into shield
championship
there,
and
understanding
sweeping
that he
Dial-Up,
was
which
a
is
little bit of a
honestly
straight for those charms.
pretty
Great play
insane.
by
Like,
the
I don't know.
here, understanding the conditions to
Very
be
many people would have
in
predicted that
order to
Dial-Up would
win
have
battles.
I
it
have to
would
hand it to
potentially
Cindy.
get
She's made an
3-0'd
incredible adjustment. The Shadow Wall
versus
is
anyone.
so
So
valuable in this matchup. Able to
especially in a
really
very
get
like
yourself back versus the
neutral
Sableye. Sableye, I think, was one of the best answers to
matchup.
Cindy's entire team on Dial-Up side. Both shields in order to take switch. It's been the key to this action.
I'm just gonna speed up here.
Shadow Claws, a flash, it's going to
Okay.
be
All right,
resisting
picks
the
up a
Shadow
huge
Claws.
lead,
A quick swap into
and
the
then
focus
she
and
makes the
get right
correct
back.
adjustment here,
The matchup is
not
going to be
going
neutral. Again,
not
Galarian Stunfisk has a
not
ton
going
of
Ninetales
over the
into
Trevenant. However, Cindy's sitting
this
in very,
G-Fist,
very
because
good
realizing
spot
that's
with
like
that Mana
not
Buzz being
as
paired
good a
up against
matchup
that
as you
Sableye
expect.
and the Metacham in the back.
Yeah, you have to love the Mana Buzz at this point. Has two great matchups. Hits super effective against the Metacham and able to resist a lot of the moves coming
Dial-Up
from the Sableye.
really considering
Going
here.
to Cindy throwing
This
the Shadow
ends
Ball, and we see that first
ends up
protection come out from Dial-Up.
Yeah, I think that is a good call by
Ends up
Dial-Up.
getting a
Of course,
Shadow Claw
Ball
through.
doing a lot of damage. I don't think Cindy's all that worried about it though. I think
She doesn't care, right?
Dial-Up
Ninetales
knows
is
she needs that knock, but
good
knowing
against the
it
entire
won't
team,
knock out,
so
knowing that these mud shots are not going to be able to knock out, I mean, she gets to a second Shadow Ball.
Yeah, she's so happy to see the Galarian Stunfisk here. If you think about it, the Galarian Stunfisk is the biggest threat to not only those Mana Buzz, but also the Cantonian Ninetales
does
as
so
well.
much
So if you look at
damage.
it this low, you have to feel really good. You can have a shield advantage, and you can really
You just
have
let
to
this
choose
go and
if
then
you
just
want
Ember
to farm
down.
farm down at this point.
Yeah, and Dial-Up's forced to throw this last Rock Slide. The Rock Slide is enough to knock out what those mud shots would not have been.
And
Well,
then
here we go. We see a
makes the
quick
correct
swap
play.
out.
In my opinion, Dial-Up should have went Metacham here.
A repeat of this lead matchup. This is looking really nice for Cindy right now.
Yeah, and remember that Galarian Stunfisk had to throw the Rock Slide. It is energy drawing.
And then
Both of these
like
items
energy
have
on
a
Ninetales
significant amount of
basically
health.
beats this
Both
entire
are
team.
used to
So
this Mana Buzz.
she's expecting that there's a like a Ninetales in the back or something, right?
Yeah,
Because Dial-Up running a really risky line against Mandibuzz, but she benched. Here's the thing: she benched Mandibuzz in the first two games. Got in Dial-Up's head that not gonna bring the Mandibuzz, so brought triple like her three best counters. Well, besides Ninetales, I guess.
About that Stunfisk, if it comes back in, it would be able to reset the power-up punch rampant.
Yeah, that's true.
So
What I saw there
here
was that
she
Sableye
should have
turn that feeling
thrown
back.
the
Really
aerial
off the
ace,
back
but
of
it
this-
doesn't
of this
make a
match
huge
now.
difference here
He doesn't
because
wanna swap into the Galarian Stunfisk to reset
there's
the
also a
power
very
punch
smart
here.
play
Going straight for power
as
punch
well
He's
here
playing the
that
These embers are adding up
she has
to
to, she has
really
shield
like
these,
to
but
have Ember
and she already knows that.
and Ninetales.
Yeah, however, the shields haven't been used so far. We're going to see two shields being used on power-up punch. Power-up punch.
These
is not
counters
quite
are
the move
really
onto the
ramping
shield,
up.
And we see an attempted catch from Dial-Up there. Unfortunately, not quite able to get it off.
Well, if you don't shield that power-up punch, I mean, look at the HP on this Ninetales. It's almost gone. These counters are adding up super fast. Double attack stage. We see
Gets
the
extra
next
one
power-up
through,
punch coming through.
and
We're gonna see the
she
final
makes a
protection
really
come out
nice
from
play by
Ninetales.
throwing right away,
Pretty close to
because
the
Dial-Up
Yeah,
can't
we'll see if
switch
it
or else
does
would have
able to catch the
transferred.
next move. It is an
So he has to
That
commit
was
another
Cindy.
counter, and she's gonna be able to throw here. And I believe this actually has Simul KO.
Very close.
It survives, and it's going to be able to almost counter down the Ninetales. The Ninetales
And
is able to beat it. The Stunfisk comes
she's
back
able
in.
to make it to the
Cindy's
foul
able to
play
get to the foul play.
and
That is gonna
take
be
out
enough. You can see Dial-Up clapping Cindy with a clean 3-0 sweep,
G
able to
Fest,
take the
and
Grand Championship.
Dial-Up playing a really good sport and actually clapping for her to win. As you can see, she's super excited to win, as she should be. She played absolutely tremendous, like almost perfectly throughout this tournament. And in my opinion, obviously, I'm a little bit biased here as I'm showcasing these matches. In my opinion, she had the most impressive run. Both in combination of her performance, like how dominant she was against her opponents leading up to this, against Alex, against 610 Hero, and obviously in the rest of her group matchups, and then sweeping Dial-Up in the after the reset of the bracket really shows like her really tremendous gameplay, and I'm confident she'll do tremendous in Worlds, and I'm actually very confident she has a really good chance to win Worlds. But obviously there's a lot of really good battlers out there, right? People that have run previous regionals and intercontinentals, and those that will win them in the future. So it's gonna be a really tough for anyone to win Worlds, but certainly Cindy I think is a huge threat to win it all. So anyways, I'm gonna leave there. If you like this video, like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see everyone in the next video.